good evening, good people, and welcome to the Woman Evolve. This is your girl, Christy Love. I told you guys I have a lot of videos to post, and so I know my previous video you probably saw me in the same outfit, so don't come for me. But I have a lot of videos I'm trying to crank out today, so y'all bear with me. Today I have a wonderful topic. And this video is going over the red flags in dating that you should never ignore. So before we get started into this video, I just want to say, we've all had this situation where we've been dating someone and, getting to know someone. And then all of a sudden, you start finding out a few things here and there throughout in the beginning that may be a sign that potentially later on down the line, this person may have some major issues or things that they're going to bring into the relationship or that they're dealing with that may potentially cause problems in your future relationship if it does go that far. So I'm here today to talk about the red flags in dating that we should never ignore before you get into a relationship. So let's go ahead and jump into these few things. I think I have 8 points that I want to go over. Number one, the first red flag that you should pay attention to is when they move too fast or want to move too fast. Like if they're clingy or they seem codependent for some reason. A lot of times that could, project either, like I said, they're very needy in the relationship, or it could also mean that they could possibly be abusive in some type of shape, form, or fashion, and they want to latch on, or like I said, needing someone to use and abuse. So be careful when people try to move too fast, because anyone that's generally trying to get to know you and meet you and date you on a serious basis, they want to learn about you and get to know you and who you are. So when they start moving a little too fast too soon, and I understand sometimes people find someone they really like and they get excited, but you just really need to be careful when they want to move too fast. A lot of times it could just be running game. I've had guys to come in and meet me, and like within the first couple of days they're ready to profess their love to me and we talk about marriage. And that's a red flag, definitely, because you don't even know who I am as a person. All you seeing is what you see right here, but you haven't taken the time to really get to know me. So how do you know that I'm someone that you want to be with long term? See, that's a red flag for me, because it just sounds, it's too much too soon. So be careful with the moving too fast thing. Number two is when you meet a person and they just are always so busy all the time, they never have time to really get to know you. Like they never have time to meet up, spend time with you, or they never have time to call you, like they need to in order to, keep the relationship flowing on both ends. And they're just always too busy, always have so much going on. That could potentially be a red flag in saying, hey, this person may not be that into you, or they may just be that busy. They don't have time for the type of relationship that you're looking for. So that could definitely be a potential red flag. And 9 times out of 10, people make time for what they want or what's important to them. So if you are a priority to them, or they're looking at you as a priority, then they're going to do whatever it takes to make time for you, because they want to invest in you and that relationship and growing and building that. That's just like when you plant a flower or you plant a seed. That seed is not going to grow if you don't put water on it. So you have to, that person has to be willing to nurture and put something into this relationship in order for it to grow. And it can't go one way. It has to go both ways. So if they don't have time, then definitely that's a red flag. Number 3 is if that person seems to have like some potential anger issues like early on. And when I say that, if they just show that they lose their cool, at the drop of the time, or the least little thing that sets them off and they get angry for no reason, or even I just had a situation a few weeks ago where I was talking to this guy, and I told him that I would call him back, and I wasn't able to call him back because that particular time I was busy with work, tied up at work and doing some things of that nature. And the next day, I got all kinds of texts from him, like, I thought you were gonna call me back. I guess you were with someone else. Like that, it was a red flag immediately, and it showed me that this person, number one, has anger issues. Number two, has insecurity and jealousy issues. And I definitely don't want to be wrapped up and tied up in a relationship or situation with someone like that. That was definitely a big red flag. So if you have someone that's showing those type of characteristics or things of that nature, that is definitely a potential red flag, and you want to pay attention to that and not ignore. Number four is they don't want to introduce you to their family and friends after you've been dating for more than 3 months. After 3 months, I think anyone should know whether or not they want to continually date you or take this thing to the next level. And if it gets to 3 months and you guys are still dating and they're not even entertaining the idea or the thought of introducing you to their family or friends at least, then that may be a potential red flag. I was in a relationship, and I hate, I'm almost embarrassed sometimes to say, but I talk about it because I want you guys, I try to be real and authentic with you guys, and I want you guys to, really, see where, there may be some red flags or some issues. And a lot of times I have to use myself as an example because we've all done stupid things in relationships or in potential when we thought we were in love. And I dated this guy, for off and on for like 5 years. I've talked about this in my previous videos, and I didn't meet him and his friends. I never met his family, which was weird because he lived in he was originally from Alabama, and he would always tell me, "You're going to meet them. My mom knows about you." But I'm not really sure he even really told his mom about me or his sister or anybody else. But he would always say that you're going to meet him. You're going to meet him around this time. You're going to meet him around that time, and it never came, or something always came up where we weren't able to meet. And the first time I ever even met his friends after we had been dating off and on for 5 years was I threw him a birthday party for his 50th birthday, and his friends, he invited his friends and everyone to be there. And when he invited his friends, that was the first time I ever met any of his friends in the whole time that we had been seeing each other. And I knew something was wrong, throughout the way, but I just kept like ignoring the red flags, kept like, maybe, that making excuses for him. And at the end of the day, I found out the relationship ended, and I just started replaying everything in my head of all the things that I noticed in that relationship and I ignored. And definitely the fact that he never wanted to introduce me to his family or friends, it made me wonder, why? And was there someone else that the family were familiar with or used to that, the reason why he didn't want to bring me into the dynamic, because he was afraid that would, that would make, that would expose whatever situation he had going on. It was a lot of things that I had in my, a lot of things and scenarios that were in my head, and it made me just say, you know what, anytime someone doesn't want you to meet their family or their friends after you've dating for a while and you seem to be moving towards that serious stage, then there's definitely a red flag, and you might want to pay close attention to that and not ignore that, because that's definitely not a good sign. Number 5 is if their close friends have questionable characters or morals, you want to watch out for that as well, because a lot of times, like they say, it is true, you surround yourself, your friends are a reflection of who you are, and a lot of times you surround yourself with people that have similar likes as different characteristics and similarities as yourself. So with that being said, you definitely want to pay attention to what type of friends that they're bringing, that they have, and those characteristics, because that is definitely a reflection of who that person is. Birds of a feather flock together, and that's a true statement. So definitely that's another thing that you want to be mindful of. Number 6, they go ghost on you for hours and sometimes days at a time. Definitely a red flag. If you started out like, communicating and constantly keeping in touch via text, FaceTime, phone calls or whatever, and then all of a sudden things kind of fade away, and you notice that the energy kind of changes, or they don't call as much or text as much as they used to, and they sometimes even don't call you all day, you don't hear from them or get a text or anything, that's definitely a red flag. And it's a sign that either they, one, don't, are not interested in you anymore as much as they used to. They've lost, the thrill is gone, or someone else is occupying their time in some shape, form, or fashion, someone or something. So if that happens to be the case, that is definitely a red flag, because I pay attention to patterns and how people move. And if I notice, I don't. A lot of times I don't say anything. I just watch and see how someone operates, because people can tell you anything, but it's their actions that speaks volumes. And if I'm noticing that they move a certain way in the beginning, and then all of a sudden it changes, or there's a shift in the energy between me and that person, then I'm starting to notice and pay attention. And then definitely, especially if they're disappear and I don't hear anything from them or hear a text or anything, something is going on with that person. Either they're occupied with someone else, something or someone has their time, or they're just not interested in you. So with that being said, definitely have enough self-respect or respect for yourself to pay attention to those things, and possibly even walk away if it's not serving you the way you feel like it needs to be. Number 7 is always talk. The person that is always talking about their ex or past relationship, and especially if they like to put the blame on the other person when they do bring up the past relationship or the ex, because you have to be careful about that. Because anytime a person constantly brings up the ex or talks about that past relationship in a negative light, and they paint that person in a negative light, you have to pay attention and watch that, because there's always 3 sides to a story. There is their story, your story, and then there is the truth. And so you got to realize, like, even if that person did do all these things, you chose that person. You were the one that, whatever the case may be, dealt with all these situations that you claim that this person had, or all these issues this person. You chose to stay in a relationship, and you chose to deal with whatever it was that they were doing for that amount of time. So with that being said, you have to take your part in the situation, and take responsibility for whatever went wrong in that relationship, and own up to your part as well, because it's not on the other person. And you have to think, anytime a person is talking negatively about someone that they dated in the past, or constantly like beating them down, or talking saying negative things about that person, you have to think, if it ever got to a point of something went wrong in your relationship, how would they talk about you? Like, would they do and say the same things, or act the same way they're acting towards you as if that they are with this ex? You have to think about these types of things and pay attention to the signs. So for me, that is definitely a red flag all the way around. And number 8, when they tell you they're not looking for a serious relationship, or anything serious or a relationship, believe them, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, if you're looking for a serious relationship and they're telling you, well, let's just see what happens, let's just go with the flow and see what happens and all this stuff, they are not looking for a serious relationship. They just want someone that they can kick it with or to play with, okay? And if you in your heart 100% that you want a real serious, solid relationship that is possibly moving forward to a marriage one day, then you're wasting your time by being with that person if you know that 100% they stated that they're not looking for something, or let's just go with the flow, whatever. That's definitely a red flag, and you may want to pay attention to that and not ignore that, because if you try to force it, it's not going to be pretty at the end. So again, I hope these signs that I went over today are insightful, and they gave you, some ideas and things that you need to be paying attention to when you're potentially dating someone, because these red flags definitely can be, a marker on, whether or not, you're going to end up in a toxic, terrible relationship, and the fact that you know, and also showing that, you know, what you will and will not accept. So definitely pay attention to these red flags. And again, guys, if you are not a subscriber already, then please subscribe to my channel and comment, like, share, and make sure that you hit the notification bell so that when I post a new video, you're able to get notifications that the video has been posted and ready for viewing. So again, I hope you guys stay safe, do whatever you need to do, stay home. And during this time that we're, you know, on, you know, lockdown, quarantine, whatever the case, everybody just be careful, be safe. I love you guys. And until next time, I will see you guys on the next Woman Evolve. This is Christy Love signing out, and I love you guys. Mwah. Take care.